So we are saying disease is diseasy. Let's begin like this. Testimonies for the Church, Volume 1, page 486, and paragraph 3. The statement says, in order to be fitted for translation, the people of God must know themselves. They must understand in regard to their own physical frames. Are we together? In order to be fitted for translation, to be translated to heaven, she says, in order for you and I to be fitted for translation to go to heaven, we as a people of God must understand ourselves. We must know ourselves and understand in regard to our own physical frames, that they may be able with the psalmist to exclaim, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This is, she quoted from Psalms 139, verse 14. And the quotation ends by saying, they should ever have the appetite in subjection to the moral and intellectual organs. The body should be servant to the mind and not the mind to the body. Meaning the body must be the one to say yes sir to the mind and not the mind say yes sir to the body. We did an introduction on that yesterday. As though God is trying to say, you go back and learn your biology at school in order for you to be fitted for translation. In order for you to be fitted for translation, it's like you need to go and understand some anatomy and physiology. Meaning the biological makeup of who you are, so that you can see how this body truly operates and exclaim with the psalmist to say, indeed I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and my soul knoweth right well. It is because sometimes of ignorance, of not knowing the complexity of these bodies, which makes us to be reluctant. Our reluctancy in spiritual things and obeying what God says is in relation, or rather, it actually can be related to us not understanding our physical beings, our physical bodies. We don't understand the complexity of these bodies. 3 John 2, beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospereth. This is the desire of God for us. He says, I wish, this is Paul writing, John writing rather. John writes to say, I wish above all things that you may prosper in health and be in health, even as your soul prospers. And this is what God's desire is. That our bodies can be in good health, even as our souls do prosper. Now, disease is diseasy. We are building it from understanding how these bodies operate. These bodies that we have, science has divided them in 11 systems. 11 systems, grouping them according to functionality, which includes the circulatory system, including the way the blood circulates, goes around the body. The lymphatic system, the respiratory system, the breathing that is, the integumentary system, this is the skin. And the skin is actually labeled to be the largest organ on our body. They say, what is the largest organ on the body? It's the skin. When you remove the skin from head to toe and put it down here, it ends up to be the largest organ related to any other organs of the body. The endocrine system, the gastrointestinal system, which is the digestion system, the urinary system, which is part of the excretory system, and then there is also the muscular system, the skeletal, and also the skeletal system. This is musculoskeletal system. This is the muscles and the skeletons, and the bones, rather. And also there is the nervous system. This has to do with the brain and the channels that communicate to the entire systems of the body. And then there is the reproductive system and the immune system. So by dividing the body in these systems, trying to see how we do operate, and this builds actually our foundation in relation to our subject today. The systems. If disease is dis-easy, what does that really mean? If disease is dis-easy, what does that really point to? And we are going to read from Ministry of Healing, page 127, on paragraph 1. It says, disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. I'll say that again. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. And it says, in case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained, and healthful conditions should be changed, wrong habits corrected. Then nature is to be assisted in her effort to expel impurities and to re-establish right conditions in the system. So, what does that mean? It says the body actually is, in this quotation, you realize that the body is being referred to as nature. And naturally, the environment is also nature. Now, when it says disease is an effort, okay, disease is the effort that nature brings, trying to strive to remove the system from the slavery, because it's trying to free the system from the conditions that are resulting from the what? Violation of the laws of health. There are health conditions which will come about primarily because we have not obeyed or followed the natural law, the laws of health. So disease will come in. Now, when it tries to do that, when nature tries to do that, you push it to extremes, it actually haunts. I'll give you, for example, a fever. When your body raises the temperature, it's a friend, it is not an enemy. Number two, even headaches. Unless it's a migraine headache or whatnot, but most of the times, even migraine headaches would come through because of specific allergens. You are allergic to something. Fever is a friend and not an enemy. It is an effort of the body to try to make anything that has come in to affect the body to be uncomfortable. If a fever or the temperature rise is not corrected, the body can actually destroy itself. Self-destruction. Because there's an infection that is trying to kill and destroy. This is why when malaria parasites, they go in the body senses, no, this is not part of us. The temperature rises in order for the body to work very quickly to try to destroy them. So you realize to say, the body has a way of responding whenever there is a condition that is affecting it. Naturally, it is a hospital on its own. These bodies are complex, and we are not supposed to take them for granted. They are actually hospitals that can cure themselves. You are the dispensary that supplies what they need to use in order for them to heal themselves. Somebody asked the question, before there was a hospital, where were you going? Yes. So there is actually a history relating to before hospital, or before the Greeks discovered the science of combining chemicals and bringing them into a tablet. Before that happened, of course, we read in the Bible the apothecaries' art. Those were known to be herb chemical collectors. They knew what medication was in what plant. But then later we have pharmakia, the pharmaceutical industry. And do you know the original meaning of pharmakia? Sorcery. Wizardry. Uguloshi in Bemba. That's the original meaning of pharmakia, pharmaceutical. So there is a way, of course, that's a story of another day. Maybe we'll discuss about what is true medication and what it means for us to feed this body a drug medication. Because God is standing on us to prevent disease before it comes. He actually says it is better to know how to prevent a health problem than knowing how to deal with it when it comes. And this is what we are talking about now. When we understand our physical frames, number one, when there is sickness, the cause should be ascertained. Look at it. What has caused this? We must be wise to read and study and understand, because every health problem that is existing today, you will find that there is something written about it and what causes it. Of course, there are others they call it idiopathic. Those in health, you say idiopathic, meaning we don't know the cause. Huh? Yeah? We don't know the cause of this problem. But in reality, you will find that most of the problems that are caused by personal lifestyle, they can be dealt with by a good, healthy lifestyle in order for us to recover into good health. So the cause must be ascertained, and healthful conditions should be changed, wrong habits corrected. So the unhealthful conditions must be done what? Must be changed. We are reversing what we got ourselves into. And these statements are applying especially to health problems, which would include what we call non-communicable diseases. Much of it. But most of the health habits, they lead us actually to affect ourselves to the very genetic level, to a point where even the offsprings, they begin to suffer because of the consequences that we have created in our lifestyles. I think I'll rush through so that we can quickly just conclude. I wanted to talk about 2 systems only out of the 11. I was supposed to talk about all the 11, but because of time limitation, we'll just talk about 2. So our quotation was saying, then when these 3 things have happened, then nature will be assisted to expel the impurities that actually have built up in the body, giving us a clue to say, because of the wrong habits of not following the laws of health, the body becomes toxic. And this is where the uneasiness comes in. Once the system has been affected, there is diseasiness. When there is no disease, the body is at ease. It is operating normally, and you are calm. But the moment there is anything that's affecting any system, the body becomes uneasy. It becomes diseased. And one of such is the impurities that would build in the system. And I chose to just look at two, the digestive system and the respiratory system. The respiratory system, this is a system that actually is in charge of us taking in oxygen, breathing in. They say you can live for days without food, or rather for weeks without food. You can live for days without water, but you can only survive minutes without what? Without air. Because every time you breathe in, you are actually sustaining the body cells by breathing in. And it is important to note that within 60 seconds, the entire amount of blood that is found in your body, and you should come the other day, we'll be talking about knowing your numbers. We'll talk about how much blood do you have, how much this are you supposed to, we have to know our numbers. So the entire blood of your body has to pass through the lungs within 60 seconds. So the cycle continues. The entire blood has to reach there so that something important can happen. And what is that? What happens is this. When the body is taking up the process called metabolism. Metabolism, this is a process by which the body actually breaks down what you eat in order to form energy. That's a simple definition. In order to form energy. So you eat something, the body begins to break it up so that it forms energy. As that happens, there is carbon dioxide that is produced. And other processes. So that carbon dioxide, it does not support life. Okay, it has some functions that it performs, of course, but I mean, it is not what we breathe in. It is supposed to be removed. Of course, it has its own functionalities, which I'm not going to go into. Yes? But then, it's supposed to go out. So, when blood goes to the lungs, there is what you call the gaseous exchange. The oxygen that you have breathed in, it will have to go into the blood, and then the carbon dioxide which is in the blood has to be removed. So that process happens throughout. This is why when you hold your breath, you don't take in oxygen and the carbon dioxide doesn't come out, you suffocate. You suffocate. So that process has to do what? To continue running just like that. In an event, there is less oxygen going in, or there is an event where carbon dioxide is not removed completely, then there can be a condition which is called respiratory acidosis. What does that mean? That means the blood, actually, it will be more acidic. There's what you call the pH, we'll talk about it, the pH level of the blood. The blood will be acidic. The pH scale is from 0 to 14. And you're expected to be at 7.35 or 7.45. That is like considered to be a neutral state of your pH. Now, when there is more carbon dioxide in the system, your system will be much on the acidic side. And already, by being on the acidic side, it means your system is a breeding ground for any health problem to flourish. Are we together? So the system becomes diseased. It is at an easy state. And when that happens, you will find that the body now will become a breeding state of any health problem that comes. An acidic state of the blood makes the immune system weak. An acidic state of the blood makes any opportunistic infection to come in because your immune system has been done what? Has been weakened. And some of the factors actually that would lead to this, or rather, you will, before I talk about the factors, you will notice to say somebody can be feeling tired or fatigued. You just feel fatigued, you just feel tired, you feel sometimes even breathless. And it's because the oxygen levels that you are breathing are less. And some of the factors that would cause this is a blanket cover. When you go to sleep in the night, you step on the blanket and then you pull it. So when that happens, you are actually rebreathing the carbon dioxide that you are breathing out. So when that happens, you find that there is more carbon dioxide compared to the oxygen that you're taking in. So you are actually causing congestion inside of carbon dioxide. Then you wake up tired and you say, today was a wizard had come today, I have not slept well. You are the greatest wizard to yourself. So blanket cover can cause those impurities to make the system to be diseased. The other factor will be polluted air. Polluted air would include what you call positive ions. All these electronic gadgets, they produce positive ions. Now there are negative ions which are found in where there are waters, running water, where there are roads and trees, the fresh air. So where there are positive ions, where there is pollution, where there is smoke, congested area, where there is less free flow of fresh air, there are positive ions. You will find that that can cause actually a condition of making the blood acidic. Also tight clothing. When we put on tight clothing, especially for our female folk, you realize to say tight clothing will restrict the expansion of the lungs, hence you're not taking in enough oxygen. And that will affect your health greatly. You will pay for it. So the body is struggling, trying to keep you alive, and you are suppressing it, trying to keep it dead. So sitting postures, we were learning when we were young, sit like lion, we sit like this. The whole idea behind that was so that we can breathe freely and not press the diaphragm so that they can be free breathing. And we must begin to do what we call breathing exercises, where you'd go outside, fresh air. Of course today it's because we are afraid of thieves. We were supposed actually to be sleeping while our windows are open. I would suggest that if you have a capacity of putting window screens, you know, where you put that mesh, a sieve. Yeah, we'll use a sieve for easy. Yeah, a sieve material. They usually put that, and then you can open the window. No insects will come in, no thieves will come in. Yeah. Except in Zambia, we have gone through certain things and we don't want to leave our windows open. Thieves have come and, yeah. Nevertheless, it is important that there is free flow of air. There is cross circulation. You can't just open one window and say there will be good circulation. No. If the window is open, even the door possibly should be open so that the air can freely flow in a building or in a house. So that will help us. Quickly, let me talk about the digestive system, the interest of time. The digestive system has to do with, starting from when we chew, going down the esophagus, it goes down into the stomach. And I've seen most people, when you say, what's wrong with you? They'll say, my stomach is paining. Then you ask them, point where your stomach is, then they are touching where their bladder is. Then I'm like, you don't know where your stomach is. Yeah. Anything that is here for you, it's the stomach. Even when the intestines are paining, it's the stomach. No. The stomach is the stomach. So the stomach is more inclined on your left side. On your left, there's a soft spot on your left side. That's where your stomach is. So the stomach, a little bit on top, yeah, a little bit on top, just below your ribs. Somewhere there, that's where your stomach is inclined and staying. Of course, there are intestines that are covering the front part. Nevertheless, so we are talking about the intestines, the small intestines, the largest intestines. So in the stomach, you realize to say, whatever you eat, it first begins by being chewed. Starch digestion primarily takes place in the mouth. After chewing, then it goes in the stomach. It leaves the stomach, it goes in the small intestines, and then there is that final phase of excreting. Now, this easy indigestion can be caused by, number one, not eating at regular times. Not eating at regular times. Today you eat your breakfast at 6 hours. Tomorrow you eat it at 10 hours. The other day you eat at 9 hours. The other day you eat at... No! You don't do that. Because the body is prepared. It works on time. The body works like a donkey. Yes? When you get used, when you tell the donkey to say 12 hours will be knocking off, when it's 12 hours you're in the field with it, it will actually sit. Yes, it will say it's time up to walk off. And that's how the body works. And this is how we are supposed to actually align ourselves. So the body works in a way that when it's time to eat, it's time to eat. So if you're eating morning time, it's actually 8 hours or 7 hours as your breakfast time. Make sure you eat at 7 hours. And you will find that your body will appreciate it even more. There are many reasons why you should do that. And breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You know why? Because when you go to sleep, your platelets in the blood, your blood becomes stickier. So if you don't take breakfast, you are at risk of even having a heart attack. So the research was done to say people who don't actually take breakfast are at a higher risk of having heart attacks compared to those who do take breakfast. Yeah. Having heart conditions. Another problem that is there to make the digestive system uneasy is the eating and drinking habit. So wrong habits have to be corrected, remember. You are eating and drinking bread and tea. Bread and tea. What is in tea? In tea there is caffeine and nicotine. And you bring sugar that destroys the immune system. And then you get the innocent water. You boil it and then you say, I have prepared food. No. Tea is not food. This which we call breakfast. No, we are breaking the fast. With white bread. 2 slices of white bread and a cup of tea. You even put coffee, which is a dehydrator, in it. So you find that slowly you are actually causing the body to be affected. There's a subject that is called who is eating who. We are going to talk about what we are supposed to eat. You must be there. You must be there. The other part is the in-between meals. There must be at least, there is a counsel to say there must be at least 5 to 6 hours in between meals. You do not eat and eat and eat. The organs after another meal, they need to rest. The digestive system needs to rest. Some people's digestive system does not rest. It's working throughout. Even when they go to sleep, the digestive system is working. In the evening, we're supposed to take a light meal. In the morning, something heavier. At noon, something relatively large. So there's an issue of eating refined foods, the purified, polished foods. This affects the digestive system. And also subsisting on dead food. I think this will be the last part. Subsisting on dead food. Dead food. You have to kill it in order to eat it. So dead food, much of that is animal food. Animal food. Carcasses of other animals. Carcasses. Now, carcasses, the problem is this with carcasses. Scientifically, they have said that World Health Organization, this was in 2015, they said, in fact, consuming red meat and processed meats has been discovered to be the larger cause of cancer. And you see, cancer does not begin with the meat you are eating today or that you are going to eat tomorrow. No. You are building up because remember in your system you are actually increasing what you call free radicals. And on this, let me mention this as well. Cooking oil, once you heat it above its tolerance, the heating tolerance, it becomes carcinogenic, it changes form. So every time somebody is cooking and you hear the sound, just say they are creating cancer there. It becomes carcinogenic, meaning it can cause cancer. And people like smoking and smoked whatnot. You even put the fat drops on the fire, and then the blue flame comes up, benzopyrene. In a small piece like this, if benzopyrene stays there, you are eating more than the tar that you can find in 500 cigarettes. And then you say, it is nice. This is what has made us grow. That's what has made you grow older quickly as well. And suffer the consequences of a bad lifestyle. She's saying, this is Ministry of Healing, page 313. Those who eat flesh are but eating grains and vegetables second hand. Why should you eat second hand? Just get it direct and eat. Why should you eat your vegetables from another animal? And the percentage of it is less. That's where the problem will be. The percentage of it will be less. The animal used it already. It has used the nutrients, and then you eat. So if it ate 10%, you are just eating 1% of the benefits from it. And much of it is fat, which is saturated fat as well, and disease. And there is uric acid, especially in red meat, which causes arthritis. So all this, you will find that the digestive system, other scientists were even saying, you see, they were saying, it will take about 1 to 3 days. Yes? It will take 1 to 3 days for red meat to complete the entire cycle. Approximately 30 to 50 hours of digestion. Now, 1 to 3 days, in 3 days you would have eaten meat 3 times. Okay, depending on the type of meat as well that you have eaten and how you have cooked it. But in reality, you discover to say that your large intestines, the colon, will be gummed. You just look clean and you have bathed, but the body inside is talking and saying, It's a sewer system inside. And how do we best glorify God? The system is diseased. Even as we are walking, we are time bomb for distraction, destroying ourselves. Created in the image of God. So the restoration of God's image calls for us to obey what God has said. And once we obey what God has said, obedience will lead us to stand in tune with God and truly sanctification to be possible. Isaiah 55 verse 2 says, why do you spend your money on that which is not bread? Why do you spend your money on that which is not food? God is calling us so that we consider the instructions that He has given us. Genesis 1:29, He gave all the fruits that have seed in them, and all the herbs that bear seed in them, because in the seed there is life. In the seed there is life. The seed has life in it. Anything that is seedless might not be good for us. This is why we need to plant our own fruits and eat them seeded. Once the system of the body is not at ease, that is the initiation of disease. Let me read the last quotation from Healthful Living, page 60, paragraph 2. It says, disease never comes without a cause. The way is first prepared and disease invited by disregarding the laws of health. There are laws that govern our beings: nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, rest, trusting in God. The laws of hygiene and all that we are supposed to keep if we are to be restored into God's image. Disease is disease. Health is like a self-gunpoint. And you are holding the trigger. You have the choice to shoot yourself dead or to preserve your life according to your lifestyle. May God bless us today, and I hope we have learned something